Good day, dear friends. I am pleased to welcome you to the course about the role of a marketing director or chief marketing officer, CMO. We have the first session of the course where we talk about the first 30 days in the position of chief marketing officer. So we start with the idea that, for example, you have just recently become either you were hired or you were promoted, or you decided to take on the role of a marketer at the executive level. Yes, so perhaps you worked in marketing and now your task is to lead it, or simply, take it to a new level. Also, maybe you are a businessman and decided to seriously engage in marketing. Therefore, today we are talking about the first 30 days. And this is our first lesson of the course. The course consists of 8 lessons. Why is it necessary to study the role of a chief marketing officer? If you are already in marketing and know something about it, that's not enough to lead marketing, because leadership management is more than just professional knowledge about marketing. Yes, there is a common mistake when a company appoints a leader simply because they were an expert, without considering managerial skills and competencies. So here we focus specifically on these managerial competencies for a marketing director. Understanding the marketing management system is an important skill for both the marketing director and the CEO, and generally for any other leadership position. For example, I will talk more about my experience later. For example, I worked a lot in HR, and for me, knowledge of marketing was also very important and useful. I know that in other positions like chief product officer, chief revenue officer, even chief operations officer, this knowledge is very important everywhere. Yes, because they are, I wrote the last point. Essentially, our whole life is marketing, right? We position ourselves, we sell ourselves, we demonstrate our value, and we create, in fact, our value. And therefore, these skills will be important for any professional who wants to become stronger in marketing. And let's study the course program. So how it will be structured. Today we are talking about starting work on this role or in this role. Next, in the second session, we will talk about how to diagnose the market and competitors. In the third, how to develop a marketing strategy aligned with business goals. In the fourth, how to budget and ensure a return on marketing investments. How, in general, not to waste money just like that. In the fifth session, we will study how to build a product, create a brand, and position it, including how to develop a brand plan. In the sixth session, we will study the direction of digital marketing and the performance system. In the seventh session, we will talk about working with the team, how to build a structure, which KPIs to implement, and what reporting to use. And in the eighth, of course, we will consider the topic of artificial intelligence and technologies for marketing directors, because artificial intelligence greatly changes every profession, and the profession of a marketing director is no exception. Today, we will talk about how to start working in a new role, a marketing audit in 14 days in a very simple format. At team, channels, efficiency. 10 key questions for the CEO for a proper start and an action plan for the first 30 days. Now let's continue with a brief introduction. I will tell you about myself. Surely there are some of you I haven't met yet. My name is Mike Pritula. I started my career at Alpha Bank, worked at the STB TV channel, at Wargaming, at Preply, Idealos, consulted startups, and created my own academy, my own startup. In terms of this course, what is my experience in marketing? The first thing I would start with is my education. I have an economics background. I graduated from a banking academy and I studied, in general, the subjects that marketers should know, since economics includes finance, management, planning, including marketing, and so on. When I worked at Alpha Bank as a recruiter, I was involved in employer branding, yes. This was also very close to marketing, to the maximum. That is, I helped the bank build the employer brand at the STB TV channel and in many other companies. And overall, throughout my career, I searched for and hired many marketing directors, brand managers, and various types of marketers. I accompanied them, then adapted them. I know what this role is. I know what is expected from it. I know what a person in this role should know to be successful. And I have seen both successful careers and not very successful ones. For 12 years, I have been creating the Mike Pritula Academy as a solo entrepreneur without any external marketers for consulting or support. There are only outsourced contractors for, well, hands-on work, so to speak. Yes, in fact, I act both as the leader of this project and as the chief marketer. So I am building this brand, I am developing it, and today it is quite well known. It is large. Well, you can Google, yes, Mike Pritula Academy and see everything related to this brand. So my personal experience in this is like that. Let's move on. When I was building my career in recruitment, I received many awards. Yes, just for understanding. I have international HR certificates and our academy, here's a brief history about it too. Well, as a successful marketing project, yes, what can be said about it? 13 years in the market, 100,000, well, already 110, even closer to 120 international students from different countries. About 185 countries around the world are studying. 130 online, well, actually 150 were created. Some courses lost relevance and were removed. Well, there are about 140, 145 active courses now. We teach in 30 languages. That is, there is at least one course in each of the 30 languages. In some languages, there are 50 courses or 30 courses. In general, we analyze all this and develop. Our student loyalty level is 80 points. Well, there is also an HR product, HR Soft, which has recently been developing and in general has great prospects. We have silver buttons from YouTube. Yes, that is also our pride, also in the field of marketing. So, our courses incorporate the best global practices, the world of business, I would say. And in this course, it's no exception. I share my experience and, of course, the best practices. I would be grateful to those watching this on YouTube if you write in the comments about yourself, what you do for a living, and that way we can get to know each other. Next, I will talk about the homework. For completing the homework, when we accept it and it's good, we give our diploma. Also, homework is your opportunity to practice and receive feedback. So it's not just theory, it's also practice. We issue the diploma on the excellent platform Credible. We are proud to work with this platform. And in general, we can probably end the introduction here and move on to the course, to what you are waiting for. Yes, this lesson. So let's get acquainted with the role of CMO. So, who is a CMO? I will say CMO, it feels, well, somehow closer to me. I refer to roles as KHRO, COO, CMO, CEO, and so on. Who is this person in the eyes of the business? First of all, they are a strategist because they are responsible for the company's growth, not just advertising. Secondly, this a sales driver, because it's not just about the brand, not just advertising or just marketing, but about generating money for the company. This is also the brand leader who shapes the positioning and value of the product. Yes, I like it. There is also the name brand dad. This is a partner of the CEO because they help make key decisions with a focus on marketing and consumers in the market. And this is an innovator who implements technology and artificial intelligence for efficiency. So who is this person, right? And in this course, we will study all these roles and study the tools to perform these roles effectively. What kind of expectations table do we have here? So look, the business expects revenue growth. What does the CMO do for this? Creates a strategy and a sales funnel. We will learn to create a marketing strategy and receive a marketing strategy template in the upcoming lessons. Also, the business expects a strong brand from the marketer. If it is a multi-brand company, then strong brands as well as the corporate brand, including the manufacturer's company brand and product brands. What does the chief marketing officer do? Develops a brand plan. Yes, there may be brand managers, and generally it's a good structure when there are brand managers, when there are different departments. But the marketing director must first and foremost know how to develop a brand plan themselves. We will learn to develop, we will study a brand plan template. The business expects an effective budget from the marketer, from the marketing director. Therefore, the chief marketing officer controls customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, return on marketing investment, return on marketing activities. So, what is this? This is customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, and return on marketing investments, and team synchronization. This person establishes the work of marketing, sales, and product. Well, and in different companies, there are some related departments, like production or development. Here, this person does it too. The CMO is not a director of advertising, but a business strategist and the right hand of the CEO, responsible for the company's growth. That is why the marketing director is often either a co-founder of the company or an owner of options or shares in the company, because the company's shareholders and creators understand that a lot depends on this person, right? He is a key player, or becomes one independently, like in my academy. Where I develop as a solo entrepreneur, I essentially develop this in myself. Well, I am interested in marketing, yes, as a function on par with HR. That's why it also motivates me to develop in marketing. Next, the first steps of a new CMO. We will have several similar slides about the first steps because it's very important, right? How to take the first actions correctly is often the key to further effective work. Because, well, again, I mentioned that I hired many people in marketing, marketing directors, brand managers, and well, ma'am, I don't know, such a role. Maybe in other roles, it's not like this, but here they watch the person closely. And from the very first steps, they already understand, yes, this was indeed the right decision. Or apparently we made a mistake somewhere. So what is very important to do? On the first day, second, third, meet with the CEO, understand the strategic priorities. We will talk about this further and what questions to ask. Meet with HR, learn about the corporate company culture and expectations for marketing. In fact, if the HR is quite experienced and has been with the company for a long time, they might know about the requirements for most leaders, things that perhaps even the CEO might not always share. Yes. I once worked, well, it was like a project-based work with the company Marcom Iego, an importer and distributor of premium alcohol. And my task was to completely form the marketing department. Yes, that's basically why I was invited there. I was looking for a marketing director and I interviewed many of them. And yet, I hired an effective marketing director who worked really well. And then he left, he got tired, it was difficult, and I searched there, found another one. Brand managers, I found about 10 people for this company. I interviewed probably more people in addition to. I went through the entire page on Headhunter in the marketing section. I called candidates who had posted on Headhunter 5 and 7 years before I called, which was essentially at the launch of the Headhunter portal. So imagine people were telling me, what? I'm already in a completely different role. So, and then I was hiring a marketing director for retail for the delicatessen stores Delight. I was looking for a marketing director for the wine market chain Pollyanna, and well, some local ones for certain restaurants too. So in general, I know very well. And I clearly told the people I recruited there what the general director expected from them and how to become successful. The first week is getting acquainted with the marketing team, checking current KPIs and reports, and a quick overview of channels and budget. Also, a bit further on, there will be tools and specific actions. The second week is meeting with sales and product leaders, interviewing clients, and preparing a map of the current marketing state. And what is very important to understand is that the first chief marketing officer does not change everything immediately, but listens, analyzes, and gathers data to make the right decisions. If, for example, this position only appears after the company, for instance, has matured and decides to hire a chief marketing officer to manage the team, the main mistakes of a new CMO, changing everything at once, is wrong and you shouldn't do that. In the first weeks, it's better to listen and observe rather than disrupt processes. The second mistake is focusing only on advertising. The business expects a growth strategy, not just managing banners, videos, and so on. The third mistake is ignoring finances. A chief marketing officer without an understanding of the budget quickly loses the trust of both the chief executive officer and the chief financial officer. Yes, that is, many CEOs directly demand that the chief marketing officer clearly manage budgets, numbers, and so on indicators. The next mistake is isolation from the team, lack of communication, absence of support within the company, and making quick promises without facts. The mistake of promising growth without data analysis. Conclusion: a successful chief marketing officer starts with analysis and building trust, not with chaotic actions. Yes, that's why they are closely watched in the first days of work. The CMO's plan for the first month. So we have three major pillars: planning actions, which in turn are divided into analysis, planning, and then some actions. Yes, that is usually, well, such a carte blanche is given for 1 month, although the probation period lasts 3 months and somewhere maybe even 6 months. Some may wait a year for results, but they will still closely observe the first month. So how should this month be best allocated? The first 10 days should be dedicated to analysis, auditing channels, budget, team, meetings with the CEO, top managers, clients, gathering KPIs and current reports. The second stage is planning. This involves conducting SWOT and gap analysis, formulating key problems, and identifying those quick wins and priorities that can be quickly implemented. And the third part is actions. Implementing quick wins, preparing a report for the CEO, and presenting the plan for the next 90 days. This is a very effective work strategy. What else? The first month for a chief marketing officer is about gathering data, diagnosing, and taking initial steps, not a full-scale revolution. Well, let's understand that no one expects extraordinary results from you, right? But they do expect very sensible actions and the right approach. That is, they are evaluating your approach at this, rather than the result. What to ask the CEO in the first meeting. First, about the strategy, what are the three main goals for the business in the coming year? Even if there is a strategy, even if you were given it to read, even if you were told it would be sent to you, still try to talk and hear it from the person, how they articulate it, because strategies are often written by someone other than the CEO, or they may have already changed. It's better to discuss. How should marketing help achieve them? Not in the sense that you don't know, but in the sense that you want to discuss expectations. Yes, that is, these are kind of key questions. You can say that you have your understanding of your role, your influence, but it's important for you to hear what your expectations are. About finances. What are the financial expectations from marketing? Return on marketing investment, customer satisfaction cost, lifetime value. Yes, if the CEO is familiar with these metrics, they might even specify them, or with some other metrics. What budgets have already been agreed upon, and where is their flexibility? Next, ask about the clients. Who is our key client or key segment or key clients? Well, depending on what kind of business it is, it could be business to consumer, and so on. What markets or segments do we want to conquer? About KPI, what metrics does the CEO want to see monthly, and what is marketing success for them? And remember, the first meeting with the CEO is not about your ideas, where you explain what you will do, but about understanding expectations and success criteria. It's really better to write this down and return to it and show the CEO, like, look, this is the result now, and then clarify expectations, because I've encountered different ones. Yes, well, this is where probably my HR experience is useful to you. In addition to having experience in marketing, I have observed a lot from the sidelines, yes, and could objectively assess the interaction between the marketing director, CEO, and other people. That is, I have worked with great marketing directors. There, in the company Wargaming, we had Mike Belton, an awesome guy. Dima Pinchuk, his deputy, worked with him. Yes, I observed their work. At the company Prepay, we had foreigners. There were mainly French people at that time, I think, which was also interesting. At the company Ideals, we didn't have a marketing director as such.
The CEO actually performed that role. It was also interesting to observe.
At the company on the STB channel, we had the PR director, but there wasn't a marketing director in the classical sense, right? Because it was more about advertising. It was a sales house. At Alpha Bank, there was a very Oksana Alieva, a very well-known marketing director. I also interviewed many people. I interviewed Yuri Gladkov, yes, who later founded the agency Grape, even before he founded the Grape agency, when he was leaving the business. We met and considered him as a candidate. I interviewed Vitaly Tkachenko before he went to work at the company Walk and completely transformed that network of gas stations, more like restaurants than gas stations. Also, I interviewed the marketing director of the company. Now I'm confused. I think he worked at Microsoft then. His name was Sergey or something, and later he joined Google. So I talked to many people. Yes, I had the opportunity to compare many people with each other to see how they work, who is successful, who is not successful. Well, there are many well-known marketing directors. I can further tell you who I talked to, who I interviewed. I even, once attended a forum of marketing directors when I was looking for a marketing director for the Delight Delicatessen, and together with my colleague Pavel Bogdanov from in the recruiting company, we won. There we had a game called Messo. We played, competed among marketers. We won this game among all the marketers who were there. Okay, good. How does a CMO get to know the team? First of all, it's very important to start with an icebreaker to build initial trust. Whenever you join a new team, don't rush to ask, and what about you? And who are you? Tell me about yourself. Start with yourself personally. Briefly talk about yourself, your experience, and even about yourself as a person. What are your interests? Maybe about your family, something else, where you worked, where you studied, some of your hobbies. So something like that. Show yourself as a person, share your vision of the role of marketing, because there are very different views on this role. Ask about expectations and the mood in the team. What questions should you ask? What do we do best? Where do we lose efficiency? If you had an unlimited budget, what would you do? By the way, once when I was working at Wargaming, my task was to develop a marketing budget for the employer brand, and I had a specific figure, I think $2 million. Yes, that was the task set. It's a lot of money for an employer brand. Yes, well, to generate ideas when looking listen, the budget is almost unlimited. And what resources are you lacking right now? The focus of the meeting should be on creating a sense of partnership, not an audit. Quickly gather insights from people on the ground and show that every voice matters. Remember that the first meeting with the team is the foundation of trust. Listen more than you speak. I remember when I worked at Wargaming, the marketing director, Mike Belton, told me about how the global marketing was headed by the administrative director, Vangelis. I don't remember the last name. And he was very worried about this, that someone not from marketing took the lead. He actually headed global publishing. And there were initial reviews from Mike about Vangelis. He says, you know what I liked? When he took on his role, he started asking a lot of questions. He said, well, obviously, I'm not an expert in marketing or publishing. You know a lot, so I will ask a lot of questions. In other words, the team values it when a leader is ready to listen, ready to ask questions, and seek advice. Next, how does the CMO build relationships within the company? Here is the expectations table. Sales. What do sales expect from marketing? Well, of course, leads. Leads, support, deals, materials, but again, it depends on how sales are structured. Question from the Chief Marketing Officer to sales. Which leads bring the most revenue? Where can marketing help in a deal? What does the product expect? Customer research and positioning. Questions from the CMO to the product. What insights? Well, for example, CPO. What customer insights do you need? Which features require marketing support? HR. Interested in employer brand recruiting. What can marketing ask? How can marketing strengthen the employer brand? Which companies are important? Finance expects transparency in expenses and return on investment. Therefore, questions for finance might be, which expenses are currently causing doubts? How is it more convenient to show marketing effectiveness? Operations or IT, what do they expect? Support for implementations and automation. Therefore, questions for the Chief Marketing Officer. What tools does marketing need? Where can processes be accelerated? The success of the Chief Marketing Officer depends on how much he or she is a partner for all functions, not just someone about advertising. Yes, that's why it's important to position oneself this way. How to conduct 5 interviews and understand the clients. Clients are very important. When I spoke with Vitaly Tkachenko, he shared very interesting insights about his experience. He said that for him in marketing, clients are the most important. You can endlessly generate ideas, develop strategies, plans. But what is much more important is what the clients think. He shared such an interesting case when he worked with the company Obolon, and they, I think it was with Obolon Wojnkornogu, were changing something in the Živčík drinks, and he proposed some new bottle, a blue bottle. Everyone strongly resisted and said that clients would not drink or choose it. What did he do? He made several such test bottles, put them on the shelf, and went with a video camera to observe how customers reacted. And when customers took the blue bottle, he approached and asked them, he said, "Hello, I am the marketing director responsible for the marketing of this drink. I see that you chose the blue bottle. Could you please tell me why you chose it? Yes?" He conducted interviews and filmed them. And then, when he presented the idea to the board of directors, he showed the research results and it was just super convincing. Yes, that's why real stories from real customers always sound more convincing than some cool ideas. Therefore, the philosopher again it. The format of quick interviews is 20-30 minutes per call or meeting, 5-7 open-ended questions. And it's important to record quotes in the words that clients use, not just your conclusions. Examples of questions. Again, they can be adapted to the company you work for. Why did you choose our product over our competitors? What you like the most? Where do you encounter difficulties? What could make you leave and how can this be arranged? A table like this. Client, quote, problem, opportunity. Focus on recurring patterns that you hear from different clients and include key insights in the SWOT analysis and strategy. And remember, even 5 conversations with clients provide more value than dozens of internal meetings. You know, like at Toyota, go to Gemba, go to the field, go to production. How to check a strategy in one day. In marketing, strategy is important. Find out if the company has clear business goals. This could be growth, revenue, market share, profitability. Are the target customer segments defined? Who is our main client? How do we stand out for him? Is there brand positioning? Why are we better than competitors? Do we understand this? All the channels, promotion tools, marketing mix, digital, offline, and PR content aligned? Is the strategy tied to specific key performance indicators? And is the strategy updated regularly? Remember, a good strategy is not a document in a folder, but a working tool that helps the business. This is how you can quickly check the current marketing strategy. How does the Chief Marketing Officer evaluate marketing channels? Well, the main channels, again, depending on what kind of business it is, there could be more. It could be some kind of affiliate marketing, maybe lead generation is added here and so on. Well, the basics, SEO, search engine optimization, right? Or now optimization for artificial intelligence like ChatGPT is very popular. Key metrics, traffic, conversions, cost per lead. And questions for the chief marketing officer. How stable is the organic flow? Paid ads, Google, Meta, and others. Yes, some use Twitter, some use LinkedIn, and so on. CAC, ROMI, ROI. And the question, do they bring profit to the company or consume the budget? Company. Note that when we talk about an advertising campaign, we write A, motion campaign. When we talk about an organization, it will be company. Email, CRM, metrics, open rate retention. How effectively do we retain clients? Social media marketing. We look at engagement leads and analyze, is this a brand for us or direct lead generation? PR media. We analyze mentions, brand awareness, and the question we ask is, how much do we influence the market? And content marketing, it's about engagement leads. The question we ask is, does the content lead to sales or just reach? Next. How does the chief marketing officer check marketing expenses? First, it's important to look at the budget allocation. The only thing is that traditionally allocation is shown with a pie chart, but it's considered that a bar histogram is always more illustrative than a pie chart. It's just human psychology. Yes, that's why it's better to be at histograms. And the control questions here are, does the budget structure align with the business strategy? What percentage do we spend on brand and what on performance marketing? Are there overlaps or duplication of expenses? What does the return on investment look like for each direction? And is there enough budget for innovations and tests? How does the chief marketing officer evaluate the marketing team? First, they assess who is responsible for what in the main directions. Yes. Evaluates KPIs and asks questions, for example, ask the brand and PR, is there a brand strategy and measurability? To performance marketing, which channels are truly profitable? To content marketing, is the content working for the funnel or just for reach? To the CRM and retention department, how do we retain customers? To the SMM department, how do social media support the strategy? To the analytics department, how accurate and regular is the data? And the control questions, is there currently any duplication of roles? What competencies are lacking? Who needs to be hired or trained? Also, in individual conversations with the marketing team, it is very useful to use these 4 most important questions. They are very powerful, where we ask, which aspects of your team or department's work particularly contribute to creating a positive customer experience? What strengths help ensure a high level of service? In which aspects of your team or department's work do you see a need for changes to better meet customer needs and improve service quality? What problems affect the customer experience? What specific actions and recommendations would you suggest to improve the customer experience or increase customer satisfaction? And is there anything else important to know about how your team or department interacts with customers and ensures their satisfaction? How the CMO evaluates marketing processes? In evaluating marketing processes, it is very important to do 2 things. Document how it is now, called as is, and how we want to see it. For example, your as is might be, campaigns are launched chaotically, reports come irregularly, approvals take weeks, task duplication between teams, no standardized briefs. How it should be is this. We want a clear campaign calendar, KPI reporting, say once a week, a fast approval system, defined roles and responsibilities, and standardized templates for briefs and reports. Well, maybe some other documents. Tools for analysis include process mapping, visualization of current processes, a RASI matrix, and a process quality checklist. And as it is very important at the stage of assuming the position to conduct a SWOT analysis of the current situation. SWOT analysis is an analysis of the strengths and weaknesses of an organization in the context of marketing, which is the internal part of the analysis, and the opportunities and threats for the organization in the field of marketing, which is the external part of the analysis. Yes, this is a key tool, and it is essential for developing a marketing strategy. For the external part of the analysis, pestle analysis is also very helpful, where categories are described. These are politics, economy, society, technology, environment, legislation, describing the potential impact on the company and on marketing. I am here so that you don't just copy what's in the table. I wrote an example for the HR team. So different teams do an impact analysis on their team. Your task will be to do an impact analysis on the marketing team. There. Next. It's important to describe where we are and where we need to go. This is called a gap analysis. Yes. So this is how it can be described where we are. But again, based on what is happening with you, based on the expectations from marketing and business goals, there can be completely different things here. Yes, but it's just important to have these two things, and then you will simply move along them and show what you have achieved. How to choose what to tackle first. Often they bring in a chief marketing officer when everything is already really bad. So there are many priorities. And if there hasn't been such a person for a long time, they start throwing a bunch of requests, tasks, and so on at them. It's important to develop a metrics for yourself to evaluate both the impact and urgency of each project, each task, and where there is high impact and high urgency, that should be your main focus. You do this immediately? Yes. This is also known as the Eisenhower matrix. You may have encountered this in time management. Then we work with high impact, low urgency. If there is low impact but high urgency, it should be delegated to someone on the team. And low impact, low urgency. Either forget about it entirely or postpone and return to it later. So this is kind of a set of actions. Make a list of current issues, tasks, projects, distribute them across the matrix, and focus only on 2 or 3 red points. In other words, do not try to solve everything at once. This is never possible in principle. Next, quick wins for the new Chief Marketing Officer. It is extremely important to plan your quick wins. You can consider these options, but your quick wins might be completely different. Organize reporting, optimize current advertising campaigns that are already spending money, launch customer interviews, strengthen communication with sales, find 1 or 2 quick experiments for growth, possibly from your past experience. And yes, that's why such quick wins help you earn the trust of both the CEO and the team in the first month. Here, this is what the first 2 weeks of work for a chief marketing officer might look like, considering quick wins. Yes, a meeting with the chief executive officer and top managers, understanding the strategy, expectations, the first meeting with the team, gathering insights. That is, often the team already knows some great things, quick analysis of the budget and channels, identify obvious failures and conduct 2 or 3 interviews with clients for quick field data. Second week, SWOT analysis of current marketing, picture of strengths and weaknesses, gap analysis, current state versus desired state, prioritization of issues using a matrix, and identification of initial quick wins. And then you continue working, finalize the SWOT and gap analysis, form a list of strategic initiatives, and discuss priorities with the CEO and managers. Next, you prepare a draft of the marketing strategy, which we will discuss separately. You define the KPI reporting system and select key digital brand initiatives. Fifth week, you launch the first strategic projects, test 1 or 2 new advertising and marketing channels, and organize weekly meetings with sales. And in the 6th week, for example, you present your 30-day report to the CEO and the team, adjust the strategy based on feedback, and prepare a roadmap for the next 90 days. Regarding the report, as I said, it is very important. The first month you are watched very closely, so it is crucial to prepare a report on the month's results. First, like any report, it starts with an executive summary, but it is written after everything else is done. That is briefly what was done over the month, 3 to 5 main insights. Next, in more detail, You present the diagnostics. Yes, this is your SWOT analysis, that is strengths, weaknesses, KPI analysis. Here you are ready to show current metrics, comparison with business goals, your quick wins, something you managed to quickly achieve or improve, strategic initiatives you launched and plan to complete in 3 months, and requests to the CEO, such as support for key initiatives, maybe resources, team, budget. These should be concise and focused on business results, not on marketing details. How the CMO presents the audit to top management. It also shouldn't be too big of a presentation. Well, nobody reads big ones anymore. 4 slides are enough. Current state, your main KPIs, strengths, weaknesses, then a slide, main issues. Nito oleke, vostra stasa sashikic. Slide quick wins and the first steps of the strategy. Yes, this is the audit for top management that you present. What is very important for a marketing director for a successful start is working with analytics and reporting. Gain access and analyze. If you are not strong in this, quickly find an analyst, involve someone who can help you with this, then finances and budgets. Start calculating customer acquisition cost, lifetime value, return on marketing investment, marketing budget template, budget and actual table, strategy and audit, very important, and the communication team, launching something like Trello or Jira, filling out the RASI matrix. Well, we will return to the RASI matrix. And Notion for organizational structure and tasks. For example, how a CMO decides where to spend time. Well, first of all, it's a matrix that you already know. Yes. And in this matrix, at least initially, you need to remember and regularly analyze all your tasks. Otherwise, you'll just fall into a huge list of non-priority tasks that you somehow do, but no one is satisfied with. How does a CMO turn quick wins into tools of trust? This is a 3-step algorithm. First, it is very important to identify where these quick wins can occur, implement them quickly, and definitely present the effect. That is, people should, the CEO, the team should see that it was like this, and we quickly achieved these results. And emphasize at this moment the contribution of marketing to the business. Yes, this will create a strong foundation for future relationships. Rules of trust for the new CMO. What works? Transparency. When you show numbers, progress regularly. Listen more than you speak. First understand, then change. Quick wins and teamwork, meaning supporting your employees. What can break trust? Ignoring the opinion of the CEO and colleagues, loud promises without facts and data. 2 drastic changes literally in the first weeks, and blaming the previous marketing director instead of jointly seeking solutions or blaming sales. What can hinder you in the first month? Making decisions too quickly when you plan to redo everything without analysis. That's how you can quickly lose trust. Focusing only on advertising. No, the business expects a strategy. Conflict with sales? Yes, that's absolutely not allowed. Lack of quick results when you say, well, we launched, we're doing, and so on. Non-transparent budget and isolation from the team when the chief marketing officer sits somewhere separately and plans, only communicating with the CEO. It's better to avoid this. Homework practical assignment. You will need to create your own action plan for the first month of work based on the knowledge you have gained here. And here are the specific steps you need to take. As a bonus, I am giving you a customer experience audit checklist in Google Sheets. It's very cool. It helps focus on the client component. But here you will also see business strategy analysis and infrastructure, indicators, and much, much more. What to read and watch? Read the book The First 90 Days, a very versatile book. And of course, if you haven't watched the series Mad Men, it can motivate you, I think. That's all for today. In the next session, we will talk about market and competitor analysis. Thank you for your attention. Join this course. Let's develop together in it. And see you soon, friends. Bye bye.